Hello everyone and welcome back to this losers round matchup between Kale and Madness, and holy crap, we are on foothills. First time we've seen this map in the tournament, and for good reason. This is an extremely good defensive map. As you can see, look at that view on that ridge way over there. Very good to defend from sitting on this hill. Both sides bringing plenty of bows for the occasion, which is definitely the smart choice here. Very nice standard balance here from Madness. By the way, he chose this map here in red as the Mori, and he has two bow warrior monks, 4 katana samurai, his naginata monk component there, and some decent cavalry, a bow cavalry actually over there, and a couple yari cavalry along some great guards. So a very balanced army. I really like to see those, of course, seeing all the units represented. Actually, wait, where is spears? There they are. No, actually they're naginatas, but close enough. Over here for Kale, he's brought a lot of spears. Naginata samurai, which is a great choice. Yari Ashigaru, which can do quite well also, and of course some katana samurai, along with 3 bow warrior monks. So putting himself on top of this hill will be a very hard nut to crack. Madness has some balls choosing this map, but I love it. If he wins this game, every game I swear I get a new favorite player because I'm always seeing funny things happen. But this is just what a courageous choice, because Kale, of course, is going to take this hill and dare Madness to come get him. But actually, now that I think about it, there are 3 capturable buildings on this map. One, the archery dojo, which is huge for this map, and the sword dojo, along with the farmhouse, which will help for running uphill. So, you know, maybe it's a little deceptively weak position up on these hills. You know how much I love deceptively weak positions, exploiting them at least, and Madness might be able to do that, because if he gets all 3 buildings here, he'll have actually a pretty strong advantage. And if he can skirmish well also, that would be huge. He's actually in the forest, which is going to help. And actually, Kale is kind of a bad angle to shoot. As you can see, we're looking up at his bow monks from here. It's just not a very good angle. They can't even see them. But meanwhile, Madness's troops here can shoot at a good angle, actually, and can shoot them almost in a straight line and just smack right into the face of the bow warrior monks, as we'll see. Hopefully, whichever one will take the volley here. Look at the path the arrows actually have. Oh, why did it do that? Oh, there's a watchtower in the way. We're going to watch the path of the arrows, and look at that straight path they have. It's actually a great angle. This is a deceptively weak position here for Kale. It's kind of surprising, because talking about how strong it was, but you just never know. In fact, actually, oh my gosh, the general's at 12 men. There's a cavalry unit here. Was it a cavalry unit that hit him? Yeah, Yari cavalry 41. I can't believe I completely missed that while I was looking at the intricacies of the bows. I know you missile lovers, I should have loved that, but for you cavalry early action sorts, that was actually pretty cool. And there's actually a routing... Oh, that's the bow warrior monk from before. But he managed to sneak a cavalry round and hit the general. So Madness is picking apart this defense very well in this deceptively weak position from Kale. Very interesting. And he has the archery dojo now as well, which is going to make it that much stronger. He's only lost about 40 men in 1 bow warrior monk unit. The other is untouched. And he's actually lost 2 of his bow monks have routed, and he's down to his last one, who's at half strength. So what a good skirmish here by Madness to actually pull into a big advantage, because you do not want to be camping when the enemy has bows, especially something like bow warrior monks and bow cavalry. He will basically be at the mercy of Madness. So it looks like this ballsy gamble from Madness is really going to pay off, and I love it. Let's take a look at the infantry battle here. We got the 4 katanas and 3 naginata monks. What do we have over here? 5 katana samurai, 2 Yari Samurai, and 2 Naginatas. So infantry advantage is fairly even. I give it to Kale slightly. Of course, he has 2 Yari Ashigaru as well. But no cavalry to speak of. We have the 1 unit over here, a Katana cavalry, who's going to get charged by the Yari cavalry. Good choice here by the Madness actually to charge in right here, because look at that big charge, killed 16 men, and spears against swords. The spears will win in a cavalry battle, so he's actually going to be able to take out this Katana cavalry. He's actually in the red morale and wavering, so a very good choice there by Madness, despite having only 41 men to start with in that unit. Actually just gets the better of that and straight up wins it. And that Katana cavalry's off the field, meaning there's no cavalry here for Kale, unless he has something hidden in the trees. So Madness is just, what a great job of picking apart this defense. You gotta love it. And that's actually Kale, who's moving down from the high ground. Just, he can't sit up there. It's again those defensively or deceptively weak defensive positions that can really sort of screw you over, because now Kale is in a tight spot, and he's gonna have to be the one attacking this, which is not the position he thought he would be, taking that ridge. But the superior bows, and actually what might have done it is not only the angle, but also there's 3 chevrons of experience on these bow monks, which make them definitely more powerful than the fresh ones that Kale brought. And unfortunately for Kale, he spent a lot of of Koku on the chevrons for these Yari Ashigaru, who unfortunately will probably get cleaned up by this Katana Samurai. They are running right into a spear wall, so they'll put up a good fight, but only having 84 men in that unit. We're not sure who will win this one. Having the sword dojo, though, is pretty big, but Kale might actually take it. He's moving into position to take the sword dojo, but the bow cavalry here for Madness is going to be doing some damage, and he's just bleeding men. The bows for Madness just are be able to just tear right in. And this is what I mean when I say that missile units really help you control the field, because I mean, look at that. That defensive position does nothing for you if you're just being pelted by arrows. Especially he has the archery dojo right here. He has infinite ammo. I mean, literally infinite ammo. He could just run his bows back into that archery dojo and just refill all of his ammo and be back to full ammo and just be able to tear you apart indefinitely. And I mean that, just indefinitely. So he has to attack. He literally has no choice here but to attack. No response for the bows, no cavalry, and no missile units. It means that Madness has Kale right where he wants him. And his forces are actually a little disorganized right now. Kale's, that is. Madness could probably capitalize, especially while there's a bit of a hole here. He's got to get some cavalry around in a position, because if he can get the cavalry into a good position, then he's just going to have Kale right where he wants him, just be able to tighten that vice grip. So Katana Samurai had only 41 men getting torn apart by the bow monks, and Madness is going to pull those bow monks out to keep attacking. This one's at 108, this one's at 87. Looks like the Katana Samurai are going to beat the Yari Ashigaru on this side, 46 men and wavering. Great job there by Madness. I just love seeing battles like this where there's this seemingly tough position, but the attacker just picks it apart and wins expertly. And if he takes this game, it will be a very well-deserved win and a well-deserved sweep. But speaking of no cavalry, maybe I was a little quick to talk, because since both players did their due diligence and sent me their replays, meaning that we could watch all the battles from the attacker's perspective, meaning ambushes like this could definitely happen as Katana cavalry are coming out of the woods, but the Yari cavalry is going to be able to do some preliminary damage. This Katana cavalry is at 38 men. This one's still at 57 and in good shape, but there is some cavalry left for Kale, but he's got to get him into the fight, because this infantry battle is going to be over in no time. The general's in stand and fight, but being pressured by the bow monks, a good choice there by Madness to put that pressure on, because he definitely has an infantry advantage, especially because the infantry, it didn't attack all in one force. There was a bit of piecemeal. The Katanas kind of came in first with one Naginata, and he was able to just chase that off. The general is in stand and fight at 11 men, though. Trying to get some cavalry around, too, I would imagine, to hit from the rear, but it doesn't look like Madness is going to be able to get any cavalry around for attack. So it looks like this again will be another big infantry battle, and one where the cavalry will not be able to make a significant impact on the infantry battle. But they may not need to, because Madness is pulling ahead here. This line is just broken. Katana cavalry trying to get in the fight, but Madness has lost some men too, so Kale might be able to grind this out, but the Naginata monks are coming in for the second wave and will be able to just war cry their way to victory here. And there they go. War cry is popped, and the charge from the Yari cavalry will seal the deal for that infantry. There's just a little bit left here for Kale, not being fired at by the bow monks anymore. I wonder where the bow monks are shooting. Guess we'll see. Into the Yari samurai. Not a bad choice. No, there isn't a bad target at this point, to be honest. I can't criticize that choice, as who needs the general if all the infantry are dead? Katana cavalry taking a charge from the Yari cavalry. They will definitely lose that battle. And mass wavering on Kale. Madness can get the sweep on a tough map to attack on, but then again, maybe not so tough. There it is. Takes the sweep 2-0. See you back in the main menu. And there you have it. Madness taking a dramatic and convincing win in Game 2 on Foothills. Turned out to be actually a pretty solid choice. I'm pretty sure he planned that. He probably looked at that map, saw that tree line to skirmish on, saw that, hey, I actually have a pretty good angle to shoot at, and he doesn't, and was able to just hammer those missile units down for Kale and really left him in a bad position. It was actually a great choice of a map. Maybe after seeing that, we'll see some missile users start choosing Foothills in an attempt to do the same thing we just saw by Madness. Very expert attack, very patient, well organized, disciplined, and he had a clear goal of what he was going to do going into that battle, which, if you have one of those, it's hard to lose. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you in the next match. You know what, actually, I'm not quite done. There's something I really want to talk about that I don't get a chance to really talk about too much, and that's macro versus micro. People start asking me, what's the difference, what's micro and what's macro, because those aren't terms that are necessarily applied to Shogun. Micro certainly is, but what's macro in Total War Shogun 2? Well, normally, the classic gauge of skill is good micro, being able to move units around effectively and quickly, and, just outplay your opponent with that mental agility. But sometimes if your macro is good enough, you don't even need the micro and it takes care of itself, as we saw in this last game. Normally you think of the macro game as, your army setup. That's pretty much macro, is your army setup. And normally you think about it as, okay, I have this core, katanas or bows or cavalry, whatever, and you think, okay, how can I best support this core with the rest of my army to accomplish what I want to do? But on a map like Foothills, it's not, the first question is not about your army, it's about, okay, especially in this tournament, I'm going to have to attack up that hill. How do I attack up that hill? And that's what the question that Madness asked himself going into this battle, I believe, and built his army around that objective instead of, the traditional way of building around just a core. He knew he was going to have to attack up that hill, and built an army around accomplishing that objective, and did it exactly right, as we saw. Maybe the enemy would do some macro of his own and kind of pull a fast one on you and build like a rush army and don't cap the hill and kind of catch you off guard there. So if we do see Foothills in the future, we may see some of that. It'd be very interesting to see the macro game on a map like that. It'd actually be very cool. I hope someone picks it, but I just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about that and the macro game of just choosing your army essentially and what you're bringing into the battle and your overall strategy and how your unit composition reflects being your ability to accomplish that objective. And Madness knew his objective, built his army around it, and ended up basically not needing to micro at all. There was very little micro there because his macro took care of it. So the macro game is a little bit overlooked maybe because people are, always talking about, oh, micro skill, which is fantastic. But hey, sometimes the macro can win you the battle, and that certainly did there. So thanks a lot for watching, everybody. I'll see you in the next match.